Hi, I'm Hotspur, Youth Librarian with the Fayetteville Public Library. I'd like to thank you for joining us for another installment of our Fayetteville Reads series, part of our 2020 summer reading program, Imagine Your Story. Check us out online at faylib.org/src to find out how to sign up to earn points and prizes for your reading this summer. Also check us out at faylib.org/calendar for a full listing of summer events. In this series, Fayetteville Reads, teachers and librarians from the community will be bringing you their recommendations for your summer reading list. As you can see, I'm coming to you from the Children's Graphic Novel Collection here at the Public Library. And as you may be aware, we are in the midst of an expansion, so this collection is not going to look quite like this here in a few months. We're going to have a brand new facility, brand new building. It's going to be absolutely awesome. You guys are definitely going to want to check it out. So for today's video, I want to discuss some graphic novels and comic recommendations for grades 6 and under. So let's start with younger audiences and work our way up to the older audiences. Perhaps the youngest book I've got to show you today is a series by James Kochalka called Johnny Boo. While cartooning rock star James Kochalka might be best known for his more adult materials like American Elf, his comics diary, or Monkey vs. Robot, Johnny Boo is actually wonderful for younger audiences. It follows the adventures of a little ghost named Johnny Boo and his pet ghost Squiggle. It's very silly, very goofy, it's very fun to read. Another great series for younger audiences is anything published by Toon Books. Toon Books is a publisher that doesn't get quite enough credit for the quality of content that it produces. Its mission is to promote early literacy for young readers through comics readership, and it does that by providing some of the best comics by some of the best comics creators across the globe in a leveled reading format, so it's easy to find the reading level that your child should be at. Now, I do want to give Dave Pilkey a shout out, the prolific author of Captain Underpants, Dogman, and many other series. But I'm not going to highlight him in this video just because everybody has read most of his stuff already. So instead, I'm going to use this spot to highlight someone that's not quite as popular, but definitely just as good, and that is Jennifer and Matthew Holm with Baby Mouse. We were lucky enough to have Jennifer visit us a few years back at our True Lit Literary Festival that we put on in the fall. She's absolutely wonderful and very prolific author, mostly writing for middle grade audiences. But this is a series of comics that she writes with her comic artist brother, Matthew, and it follows the everyday adventures of the title character, Baby Mouse, who's a schoolgirl with a very vivid imagination that leads her into all kinds of extraordinary situations. This is a very funny series. It's definitely a reader favorite, so if you haven't picked it up yet, you should. So there's no shortage of classic comics literature for children. So I'm going to highlight a few of those. First up is the Uncle Scrooge and Donald Duck series by Disney Comics. Licensed characters have always been a good way to get kids reading, but no one's done it quite as good as Carl Barks did in the mid-20th century when he created Uncle Scrooge and drew Donald Duck and Uncle Scrooge comics for Disney. These comics provided some of the best storytelling ever done in any comics medium ever. A lot of the stories that Carl Barks wrote and drew were the basis for the original DuckTales cartoon. I do feel the need to warn parents that these comics, like any kind of classic literature, were made quite a long time ago, and there will be some culturally insensitive moments throughout the series. So parents, you may want to read ahead just to provide talking points, if anything. One of the highlights of my childhood was getting the Sunday newspaper and opening it up to read this comic, Calvin and Hobbes by Bill Watterson. Now, most of our Calvin and Hobbes books are going to be found upstairs in the adult or teen graphic novel collections, and that's not to say that they're not for kids, it's just a testament to their appeal across all age ranges. This is just a classic children's newspaper comic strip with a lot of intellectual humor, great gags, great art, and absolutely fantastic stories. Speaking of fantastic stories, it doesn't get much better than Bone by Jeff Smith. Bone is an Eisner Award winner, which is the comics industry award, kind of like the Oscars, and it's generally regarded as one of the greatest comics of all time. It follows the adventures of three cousins who leave home and begin a hero's journey. It's very funny, but also very deep, and I will warn you, it can be challenging for younger readers and even scary for some. But if you like high adventure, great characters, and engaging quest-based storytelling, then this is for you. If you're looking for a good autobiographical comic to read, look no further than El Defo by C.C. Bell. El Defo is a Newbery Honor book, and I have to say I find it very encouraging that more graphic novels are being recognized by major children's literature awards. This one is a coming-of-age graphic memoir or autobiography about the author's experience transitioning from an all-deaf school to a new school where she's the only hearing-impaired person. It's very funny and also very heartfelt and definitely worth a read. One middle grade graphic novel series has a very strange distinction of being both popular and still underexposed and underrated, and that is the Amulet series by Kazu Kibuishi. Amulet follows the magical tale of two siblings who've recently lost their father, so they and their mother move into a mysterious house, and that's when things get weird. It's a well-written story. It might be a little spooky or hard to follow for younger readers. It's more of a middle grade book, but it's definitely worth a read. And we were lucky enough to have Kazu visit us here at the Fayetteville Library a few years back, and he's a super cool, super interesting guy. Definitely check this one out. No children's comics list would be complete without mentioning this series, the granddaddy of them all, Tintin by Hergé. Hergé was a Belgian cartoonist, but his stories were so popular that they were translated into numerous languages over the years. These are classic adventure comics at their finest, and they're classic for several reasons. They have great storytelling, great art, high adventure, think in the spirit of Indiana Jones. They're also classic because some of them are nearly 100 years old. So I do want to issue the same disclaimer I did earlier, a warning to parents that because these comics are so old, that there probably will be some culturally questionable moments in the stories. So please, parents, read ahead in order to provide talking points for your child. So those are just a handful of the many wonderful graphic novels we have here at the Fayetteville Public Library. I strongly encourage you to come down and browse the shelves for yourself. Don't forget to check us out at faylib.org/src for information on the summer reading program, and also check us out on Instagram and Facebook for fresh content uploaded daily. Thanks for watching.